It all began on a cold, stormy night. Lightning flashed across the sky, illuminating the tiny suburban house where Whiskers, the sleek golden and white tabby cat, sat frozen on the windowsill. His emerald green eyes gleamed like lanterns in the dark as he stared at the figure moving through the shadows of the living room. What was Mr. Gregg hiding? Why did he look so nervous tonight? What had he been whispering to himself? Was Whiskers in danger? Mr. Gregg, his owner, was a peculiar man. He was tall and wiry, with thick glasses perched on the bridge of his crooked nose. His gray hair stuck out in messy tufts, and his wrinkled hands always trembled slightly, as if he carried secrets too heavy for one man to bear. Whiskers had always thought him kind, until tonight. The man whispered to himself, pacing back and forth, holding a thick black journal. Every few seconds, he would glance nervously at the basement door. Whiskers' sharp ears twitched. Something about the way Mr. Gregg's eyes darted around sent a shiver down his spine. Whiskers padded quietly toward the doorframe, his curiosity getting the best of him. His tail flicked in the shadows, and he tried to listen to Mr. Gregg's mutterings. Then it happened. Mr. Gregg muttered, "Just a few more nights, and it will all be over. The cat has no idea. The cat has no idea." Whiskers' tail flicked in alarm. What could he possibly mean? Was this about him? He crouched lower on the windowsill, his sleek fur blending into the shadows, his heart pounding like a drum. The man's voice broke the silence again. "The ritual requires the soul of a trusted pet. The cat will host my spirit while my human body decays." The tabby's fur bristled. Could Mr. Gregg be planning something horrible? What did he mean by the cat's body? Was he referring to Whiskers? Mr. Gregg's pacing became more frantic. "I need the cat tonight," he muttered, clutching the journal tighter. Whiskers blinked, unsure whether he was hearing things. But one thing was clear. Something sinister was afoot. The man he had trusted, fed him, and petted him, was hiding a dark secret. Moments later, Mr. Gregg headed for the basement, the heavy journal clutched tightly to his chest. The old wooden stairs creaked under his weight, and the sound echoed through the silent house. Whiskers hesitated, his instincts screaming at him to stay away, but curiosity burned inside him. "Where are you going, Mr. Gregg?" Whiskers thought, his eyes narrowing. The tabby leapt down silently, his white paws making no sound on the floor. His long, elegant tail swayed like a pendulum as he followed his owner to the basement. The door was left ajar, and Whiskers squeezed through, barely making a sound. He entered the dimly lit space, the musty smell of damp wood filling the air. The basement was nothing like the rest of the house. It was cold and damp, with cobwebs hanging in every corner. Shelves lined the walls, filled with jars of strange substances, blackened feathers, tiny bones, and glimmering liquids. A large, circular symbol was etched into the concrete floor, surrounded by candles that flickered eerily. Whiskers felt the fur on his back rise. His emerald eyes darted around, searching for his owner. Mr. Gregg was at a table, poring over the journal. He muttered under his breath, flipping through the pages, his voice low and menacing. "The transfer must be perfect. The cat's body will sustain me for decades. He'll never see it coming." Whiskers froze. The cat's body? Was he talking about me? The tabby's heart raced. He crouched behind a stack of crates, his mind spinning. Could it be true? Had the kind pats on his head, the bowls of tuna, and the gentle lullabies been a lie? Just then, Mr. Gregg turned. His pale, hollow eyes scanned the room, as if sensing he wasn't alone. "Who's there?" he barked, his voice sharp and cold. Whiskers held his breath, his green eyes wide. Gregg grabbed a syringe from the table, his bony fingers trembling as he muttered, "I need the cat! Tonight!" "Tonight?" The tabby's mind screamed. He had to get out, but not before he knew the full truth. What was Mr. Gregg planning for Whiskers? Was it too late to escape? Whiskers' keen eyes caught sight of an open notebook lying on the workbench. The man had left it unattended as he fiddled with the syringe. Quiet as a shadow, the cat crept closer, his paws brushing against the dusty floor. The notebook was filled with drawings of circles, runes, and diagrams of animals, cats, dogs, mice, all with notes scribbled around them. One sentence jumped off the page. The ritual requires the soul of a trusted pet. The cat will host my spirit while my human body decays. Whisker's world crumbled. Mr. Gregg wasn't the loving owner he'd thought he was. The man had been grooming him for this, a twisted experiment to cheat death. Just then, a shadow loomed over him. "Ah, there you are, Whiskers," Gregg hissed, a sinister grin spreading across his face. "I was wondering when you'd join me." The cat leapt back, his sleek body arching defensively. His green eyes locked onto Gregg's. Gregg chuckled darkly. "You've been a good pet, Whiskers. So loyal, so perfect. But now, it's time for you to serve a greater purpose." Whiskers hissed, his sharp teeth bared. "Don't come near me!" Whiskers warned, his tail flicking aggressively. But Gregg didn't seem fazed. Gregg lunged, but Whiskers was faster. He darted under the table, knocking over a stack of jars. Glass shattered on the floor, and a foul-smelling liquid spilled everywhere. Gregg cursed, slipping on the mess. "Stupid cat!" he roared, grabbing for the syringe. Would Whiskers make it out alive? Was there time to stop Gregg's twisted plans? The great escape Whiskers bolted for the stairs, his claws scraping against the concrete. Behind him, Gregg scrambled to his feet, panting heavily. "You can't escape, Whiskers! You're mine!" Gregg shouted, his voice full of venom. The cat didn't look back. His powerful legs propelled him up the stairs, his heart hammering in his chest. He reached the door and clawed at it desperately. It was locked. Gregg's heavy footsteps thundered behind him. Whiskers' eyes darted around. In a last-ditch effort, he leapt onto a shelf, knocking over a lit candle. The flame caught on a pile of old papers, and within seconds, the basement was filling with smoke. Gregg screamed, coughing as he tried to put out the fire. Whiskers used the chaos to his advantage. He launched himself at the door handle, twisting it open with a desperate swipe of his paw. The tabby raced into the night, his fur singed but his spirit unbroken. He didn't stop running until the house was just a faint glow in the distance. Sitting under the moonlight, Whiskers licked his singed fur and vowed to never trust a human again. Mr. Gregg's secret was safe, for now, but Whiskers would never forget the horrifying truth he had uncovered. And as the flames consumed the house in the distance, one thing was certain: no one would ever see Mr. Gregg again.